Imagine, if you will, the private world a man and a woman build together. It is not made of bricks and mortar, but of whispered secrets in the dark, of inside jokes that no one else would understand, of shared dreams for a future that feels as real and solid as the ground beneath your feet. It's a language spoken only by two people. You built this world together, laying each piece carefully. You were its co-architect, its guardian. You felt that primal masculine sense of purpose in protecting it, in nurturing it, in being the safe harbor for her heart. And then in a moment, you find yourself on the outside looking in. The locks have been changed, and another man has been given the key. He is now living in the world you built. He is learning her language, hearing her secrets. And she is looking at him with the same eyes that once looked at you, with a universe of promise. This is a unique kind of pain. It is not just loss, it is replacement. It is a direct and brutal challenge to your very essence as a man. Your mind against your will is flooded with torturous comparisons. Is he taller? Is he more successful? Is he funnier? Is he better in bed? Each question is a turn of the screw, a fresh wave of agony. It feels as though your very worth has been weighed, measured, and found lacking. You feel discarded, obsolete, an old model traded in for a newer, shinier one. The world feels tilted on its axis because the one person you vowed to protect is now being protected by someone else. And you are left alone, haunted by a single devastating question. Why wasn't I enough? But I want you to pause with me right here in the heart of that storm. I want you to take a breath and consider a different possibility. What if your worth was never part of the equation? What if this entire event was not a reflection of you, but a revelation of her? What if the new world they are so proudly displaying is not the paradise it appears to be, but merely a fleeting distraction? Let's think about it this way. The relationship you built with her was like a home, perhaps not always a palace of non-stop excitement, but a place of genuine comfort and safety. It had strong foundations built on shared history, trust, and real intimacy. It was the place you could return to after a long day, a place where you could be yourself without pretense. It was real. Now look at their new relationship. It is not a home, it is a carnival ride. It is all flashing lights, loud music, and thrilling screams. It's the adrenaline rush of the new, the excitement of the unknown, the dizzying heights and stomach-lurching drops. From the outside, everyone watching thinks they are having the time of their lives. And for a few minutes they probably are. But we all know what happens when the carnival ride ends. The music stops, the lights go out, the thrill evaporates, and the riders are left feeling a little dizzy, a little sick, and standing on the same patch of ordinary ground as everyone else, searching for the next ticket, the next temporary high. She did not leave your home for a better home. She left your home for a carnival ride. She traded the quiet, lasting warmth of a fireplace for the fleeting, flashy burst of a firework. And right now, you are torturing yourself by standing on the ground, staring up at the firework, believing its brief, explosive beauty is more valuable than the enduring warmth you offered. This is where the wisdom of the Stoics becomes not just a philosophy, but a lifeline. The teacher Epictetus told us, "It is not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about events." Let's apply this directly. It is not the event of her being with another man that is crushing you. It is your judgment about the event. The judgment is, the carnival ride is better than the home I built. Therefore, I failed as a builder. The judgment is, she is screaming with excitement. Therefore, the quiet comfort I provided was boring and worthless. These are the stories, the judgments that are the true source of your pain. The Stoic path is the path of questioning these stories. It is the path of becoming a calm observer of reality. And the reality is, people who are truly happy and whole do not detonate their own homes in search of a fleeting thrill. People who are running from one carnival ride to the next are not running towards happiness. They are running from an emptiness within themselves. An emptiness that they mistakenly believe the next person, the next thrill will finally fill. But it never does. The emptiness is a part of them, and they carry it with them wherever they go. The person she is with now is not her savior. He is just the next ride. And when that ride is over, she will be standing on the same empty ground, looking for yet another. Consider the story of one of the 20th century's most iconic men, Frank Sinatra. In the early 1950s, he was embroiled in a famously passionate, turbulent, and all-consuming love affair with the actress Ava Gardner. To him, she was everything. He left his wife and family for her, a scandalous act at the time. He was utterly devoted, but their love was volatile, and eventually she left him. Sinatra was not just heartbroken, he was annihilated. He fell into a deep depression, and by his own admission attempted suicide multiple times. He had lost his world, he had been replaced, and he felt his career and his life were over. He was a man who had been judged by the woman he loved and found lacking. But then, something shifted. In the depths of that pain, in the wilderness of that heartbreak, he found something. He took all of that raw, visceral agony, the longing, the jealousy, the despair of a man who has lost the great love of his life, and he poured it into his music. He went into the recording studio and created some of the most masterful, emotionally resonant albums about love and loss ever made. He invented a new persona, the saloon singer, the world-weary man in a fedora singing with profound honesty about a broken heart. He didn't run from his pain, he metabolized it. He turned it into his art, into his purpose. He became more than just a popular singer, he became a legend. His greatest professional triumph was forged directly in the fire of his greatest personal tragedy. He didn't get the girl back, but he found himself. He found his telos. Your stage is now set for a similar transformation. The pain you feel is real and valid, but like Sinatra, you have a choice. Will you let it be the end of your story, or will you let it be the fuel for your masterpiece? The masterpiece is not a song or a film. The masterpiece is you, the strong, centered, purposeful man you will become. You must stop looking at the carnival ride and believing it is a permanent paradise. It is a distraction. It is noise. It is temporary. Your first task is to accept this, to understand that her perceived happiness is not a verdict on your worth. It is a reflection of her own internal state. Once you can see the flashing lights and the loud music for the illusion that it is, you can finally turn your back on the noise. And in that quiet turning away, we can begin to explore the first most powerful step you can take on your path. A step of quiet dignity that will lay the foundation for everything that is to come. You've made the decision. You have seen the flashing lights and the dizzying spin of the carnival ride for what it is, a temporary thrill, a fleeting escape. You have chosen to turn your back on the noise, to stop torturing yourself by watching a spectacle that was never meant for you. But in the moment you turn away, you are met with something that can feel even more terrifying, a profound and deafening silence. In this quiet, your mind, which has grown accustomed to the drama and the chaos, will begin to panic. It will scream at you to do something. It will tell you that silence is weakness, that it is passive surrender. It will craft 1,000 logical-sounding reasons why you need to reach out one last time. You need to explain your side. You need to get closure. You need to tell her how much she hurt you. You need to make sure she knows what she's losing. Your brain will present these arguments as rational, as necessary steps toward healing. They are all lies. And so, the first true active step on your path of recovery, the first demonstration of your newfound Stoic resolve, is the most courageous and disciplined act of all: to honor that quiet, to consciously choose to do nothing, to embrace the profound power of silence. Think of it this way. She has tuned her radio to a different station. It's a station playing loud, flashy pop music on a loop, the sound of the carnival ride. Your station, the one you built together, played a different kind of music. Maybe it was deeper, more complex, quieter. Now, every time you text her, call her, or try to engage with her, you are trying to broadcast your old quiet station over her new loud one. All it creates is noise, static, an unpleasant, chaotic mess where no one can hear anything clearly. It drains your energy and gives her the satisfaction of knowing you are still trying to tune into her frequency. The Stoic's move is to stop broadcasting. It is to calmly turn your own transmitter off. Not with anger, not as a punishment, but with the quiet dignity of a musician who will not play for an audience that does not want to listen. You are preserving the integrity of your own music. You are deciding that your energy is too valuable to be wasted as static in someone else's noise. This act of silence is your first true practice of the virtue of temperate self-control. It is also the first practical application of the dichotomy of control: her thoughts, her feelings, her new relationship. These are all external to you, things you cannot control. Your impulse to reach out, however, your words, your actions, these are entirely up to you. By choosing silence, you are making a powerful declaration. I will no longer expend my energy on the things I cannot control. I will now focus entirely on the one thing I can, my own response. But the mind will fight you, and its greatest weapon will be the myth of closure. Your mind will tell you that you cannot possibly move on until you have that one final conversation, the one where everything is explained, where all the questions are answered. But let me share, a hard-won truth closure is the most misunderstood concept in all of heartbreak. It is a ghost. It is a mirage in the desert that promises water, but only offers more sand. You are seeking a clear, logical explanation for an emotional, often illogical decision. You are seeking solace from the very person who caused your pain. It is like asking the storm for a clear sky. It cannot give it to you. She will likely give you half-truths, justifications designed to ease her own guilt, or perhaps even more confusing statements that only create more questions. You will leave that conversation feeling more wounded, more confused, and less powerful than before. Closure is not something she gives to you. It is something you give to yourself. It is a private internal decision. It is the moment you stop asking why and start asking what's next. It is the moment you accept the story is over, even if you don't like the ending. Your silence is the signature at the bottom of that final page. You are closing the book yourself. This is an act of profound self-respect. You are refusing to audition for a role that has already been cast. You are refusing to beg for scraps of attention from a table you are no longer invited to. This is incredibly difficult, especially in the early stages. The habit of sharing your life with her is deeply ingrained. The phone will feel heavy in your pocket. Her name in your contacts will seem to glow. This is your moment of training. This is your Valley Forge. Every time the urge to check her social media arises and you choose to open a book, instead, you are winning. Every time you type out a long emotional message and then delete it and go for a walk instead, you are winning. Every time a friend brings her up and you politely change the subject, you are winning. These are not small victories. They are everything. They are the reps and sets in the gymnasium of your character. You are strengthening the muscle of indifference. Not a cold, bitter indifference, but a peaceful, powerful indifference that says, your life is your own, and my life is my own. I wish you no ill will, but my attention is now required elsewhere. This silence is not an empty punishment. It is a constructive space. It is a clearing in the forest. For the first time in a long time, there is no one else's mood to manage, no one else's expectations to meet. There is only you. You can finally begin to hear your own thoughts again, to distinguish your own voice from the echo of hers. And what will you do in this quiet, sacred space you have created? You will not let it become a vacuum of despair. You will begin to fill it. You will begin to build. This is not a passive waiting game for karma to arrive. This is the active process of becoming the man who is too busy building his own kingdom to notice the affairs of another. The silence is the act of clearing the land and fencing it off to protect it. Now that the ground is quiet and ready, we must begin to lay a new foundation. And that foundation begins not in the abstract world of the mind, but in the solid, tangible earth beneath our feet with the body itself. In the sanctuary of your silence, you have turned down the noise of the outside world. But another kind of noise remains the relentless inner monologue of pain, of memory, of what-ifs. A mind left alone in a quiet room can become its own worst enemy. And so, the first constructive act we undertake in this new space is not to fight the mind with the mind. That is a battle of ghosts in a hall of mirrors. No. The first act is to bring the ghost back into the world of flesh and bone. We begin by laying the first stone of our new foundation, and that stone is the body itself. The Stoics and the ancient Greeks from whom they drew so much wisdom understood a vital truth that our modern screen-obsessed world has tragically forgotten. The mind and body are not separate. They are a single interconnected system. A disciplined, resilient mind cannot long be housed in a soft, neglected, and undisciplined body. When your heart is broken, your mind is in chaos. You feel powerless, ethereal, unmoored from reality. The most direct and potent way to combat this feeling of helplessness is to engage in the world of the physical, the tangible, the real. It is to reclaim the one territory that is undeniably yours, your own physical being. Let me be perfectly clear. This is not about building a revenge body. That is a shallow goal still tethered to the hope of her reaction. still seeking external validation. To train your body with the hope that she will one day see you and regret her decision is to remain a prisoner to her gaze. Our purpose here is far deeper. This is about forging the body to fortify the mind. It is a declaration of self-ownership. It is the first, most honest step in taking back your power. I want you to imagine yourself as a blacksmith. The betrayal and heartbreak you have experienced, that is the searing, white-hot fire of the forge. It is a raw, chaotic, and destructive energy. On its own, it will consume everything. Your body, perhaps softened by the comfort of the relationship, or weakened by the stress of its ending, is the raw, unformed piece of iron. And your will, the part of you that has chosen this difficult path of growth, is your hammer. Each day you will deliberately take the iron of your body and place it into the fire of your emotional pain. You will not run from the heat. You will not try to extinguish it. You will harness it. You will use its immense energy. And then with the steady rhythmic strike of your hammer, with every push-up, every mile run, every weight lifted, you will begin to shape the metal. Every drop of sweat is a spark flying from the anvil, carrying with it a bit of your frustration and anger. Every strained muscle is the iron bending to your will, not the will of your sorrow. Every labored breath is the sound of alchemy, of a man transforming the base metal of his suffering into the hardened steel of his own character. This process is profoundly healing. For one simple reason, it is entirely within your control. It is a direct application of the Stoic's great liberation. You cannot control her thoughts. You cannot control who she is with, but you can control the decision to go for a run. You can control the act of lifting the barbell one more time. In a world that has just shown you how powerless you are, these small, controllable victories are like water in the desert. They are undeniable proof of your own agency. Each completed workout is a quiet statement. I am not helpless. I am the master of this domain. I can command my own body to do difficult things, and it will obey. This builds a foundation of self-respect and self-efficacy that no one can ever take from you. This mind-body connection was not a mystery to the ancients. Plato's famous academy, the cradle of Western philosophy, was intentionally located next to a gymnasium. The students were expected to train their bodies with the same dedication they applied to their minds. They understood that virtues like courage, perseverance, and discipline are not just intellectual ideas. They are embodied qualities. How can a man truly understand mental endurance if he has never commanded his body to continue when every fiber of his being is begging him to stop? Your journey into this practice does not need to be extreme. It begins with a single humble step. It might be a simple walk around your neighborhood after dinner, feeling your feet on the pavement, the cool air on your skin, pulling you out of the frantic loop of your thoughts and into the present moment. Next week, it may be a jog. Perhaps you discover the quiet, meditative solitude of lifting weights, the simple, honest transaction between you, the iron, and the laws of physics. Perhaps you find a home in the fluid discipline of a martial art or the focused breathing of yoga. The specific activity is secondary to the intention. The intention is to show up to engage with physical resistance and to channel the storm within you into a constructive, purifying effort. You will find that the anger that once threatened to consume you now fuels your final set of squats. The anxiety that kept you awake at night is left behind on a long run. You will come home physically exhausted, but mentally you will feel a new kind of calm. A clarity. The biochemical release of endorphins will act as a natural antidote to the chemistry of despair. You will sleep more soundly. The sharp, jagged edges of your pain will begin to wear smooth. You are moving the struggle. You are taking it from the uncontrollable realm of her life and her choices, and bringing it into the one arena where you are the undisputed champion, your own body. This is the first great act of building. You are not just building muscle. You are building a new, more resilient container to house your mind. You are proving to yourself in the most tangible way possible that you can endure hardship and emerge stronger. As you continue this practice, you will notice a remarkable shift. As the body grows stronger, the mind becomes clearer. And in this newfound clarity in the quiet space you have earned through your physical discipline, a new question will begin to whisper. Stronger for what? Once the vessel has been forged, it needs a mission. Once the foundation has been laid, we must decide what kind of structure we will build upon it. And discovering that purpose, a purpose entirely your own, is where our journey will take us next. You have entered the forge. You have taken the raw, chaotic energy of your pain, and through the steady rhythm of physical discipline, you have begun to shape it into strength. The body, once a house for grief, is becoming a fortress. The mind, once a storm of looping thoughts, is becoming clearer, calmer. A new space has opened up within you. But space like silence is not a destination. It is a beginning. It is the fertile ground awaiting a seed. And so, the question that we arrived at, the question that naturally arises from a newly fortified self, echoes in this newfound quiet. Stronger for what? A powerful ship with no rudder, no destination, will only drift in the currents, eventually dashed upon some unforeseen shore. A strong body and a clear mind without a mission will eventually turn inward, becoming restless and stagnant. The energy you have so painstakingly cultivated must be given a direction. It needs a North Star. This is the moment we move from healing the past to actively building the future. This is the moment we talk about purpose. In the world of the Stoics, this was called the telos, the ultimate aim or end. For the man who has lost his way in the fog of heartbreak, discovering a new telos is the single most transformative act he can undertake. For a long time, the relationship itself was your purpose. Your energy was directed toward her, toward the us you were building. Her happiness was your project. Her validation was your reward. And because your purpose was external, tied to the whims and feelings of another person, its removal felt like a complete collapse of your own world. The great work now is to find a purpose that lives entirely within your own control. A mission so compelling, so deeply aligned with who you are, that it becomes the new sun in your solar system. A relationship, when it is healthy, can then become a beautiful planet orbiting that sun. But it is never the sun itself. The sun is your mission. It is the source of your light, your heat, your gravity, and it can never be taken from you. Finding this purpose rewrites your identity. You cease to be the man who was betrayed and replaced. That becomes a footnote in your story, not the title. You now become the man who is mastering a craft, or the man building a business, or the man dedicated to serving his community. Your identity is no longer defined by what was done to you, but by what you are actively doing. But how does one find such a thing, especially when still feeling the echoes of loss? You do not find your purpose by sitting in a room and thinking about it. Purpose is not found. It is forged. It is forged in the crucible of action and curiosity. It is discovered by trying things, by learning, by building, by failing, and by getting back up again. Consider the story of Michael Jordan, widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. In 1993, at the peak of his powers, having just won his third consecutive championship, his father James Jordan was tragically murdered. The loss devastated him. His father was his best friend, his closest confidant. The joy was gone from the game. Jordan felt he had lost his purpose, and so he retired from basketball to pursue a new dream, playing professional baseball, a sport his father had always loved. To the world, it was a shocking and confusing move. He was, by all accounts, not a very good baseball player. He was criticized, even mocked. He was a king who had voluntarily left his throne to struggle as a commoner in a foreign land. For over a year, he subjected himself to the grueling, humbling life of a minor league baseball player. He rode the buses he took, the long trips he failed at the plate, again and again. But in that process, in that humbling pursuit of something new, something shifted. The fire of his grief and loss was being transmuted into the fire of a new kind of discipline. And eventually he realized his true telos had not vanished. It had been waiting for him. When he returned to the Chicago Bulls in 1995, he was not the same player. He was thinner, but his resolve was harder than steel. He came back with a singular, all-consuming purpose to win in honor of his father. His game was no longer just about talent. It was fueled by a deep, unwavering mission, and he went on to win 3 more consecutive championships, cementing his legacy as a legend. Jordan's story teaches us that purpose is often rediscovered in the wake of devastating loss. The pain clears the deck. It removes the distractions and forces you to ask the deepest questions. Your heartbreak has cleared the deck for you. The life you thought you were going to live is over. This is a terrifying thought, but it is also a profoundly liberating one. You are now completely free to choose a new direction. So, where do you begin? Start not with pressure, but with curiosity. Take out a journal and create a space for exploration. Ask yourself, what is a skill I've always admired in other men, but told myself I could never learn? Playing an instrument, woodworking, coding, a martial art. Ask yourself, what problem in the world, however small, genuinely makes me angry or passionate? Animal welfare, environmental issues, mentoring young people. Ask yourself, if I had a free Saturday with no obligations, what activity would make me lose track of time? Ask yourself, what is one thing I could start building today with my own two hands or my own mind? Choose one, just one. It does not have to be your grand lifelong purpose on day one. Let go of that pressure. Your initial purpose can simply be to master the guitar, or to build a bookshelf, or to run a 5K. The act of dedicating yourself to a process of mastery, of moving from incompetence to competence through disciplined effort, is in itself a powerful purpose. It is a direct antidote to the feeling of helplessness. You are moving your focus from the passive state of being hurt to the active state of being a creator, a builder, a student. This is how you reclaim your narrative. The energy that you once poured into her is now poured into your craft. The late nights you spent wondering about her are now spent practicing, studying, building. You are becoming a man of substance, a man with his own gravitational pull. A North Star is essential, but it does not calm the seas or guarantee a safe passage. To navigate the storms that will inevitably lie between you and your new purpose, you will need more than just a map. You will need a well-built ship, and you will need to be a skilled captain. That ship is your character, and learning how to cultivate that character, how to practice the virtues that will allow you to stay the course no matter the weather, is the vital work we must turn to next. You have found your North Star, a purpose, a telos, that burns with a light that is entirely your own. It pulls you forward out of the harbor of your past and into the vast open sea of your future. But the existence of a destination on a map does not guarantee a smooth voyage. The sea of life is famously unpredictable. There will be storms. There will be headwinds. There will be moments of disorienting fog where you cannot see the star you are sailing by. A map is useless if the ship is not seaworthy and the captain does not know how to navigate. This is where the Stoics place the entire weight and meaning of a good life. Not on arriving at the port, not on the treasures you accumulate, but on the way you sail the ship through whatever the sea throws at you. The ship is your character, and you are its captain. The art of sailing this ship with honor, skill, and resilience is the practice of arete, a Greek word that means virtue, or more accurately, excellence. Happiness, the Stoics taught, is a byproduct. It is the feeling of a well-sailed ship, the quiet satisfaction of a captain who knows he has done his best with the conditions he was given. And to be a master captain, you need to master 4 essential instruments of navigation. These are the 4 cardinal virtues of Stoicism. They are not lofty ideals for saints. They are practical everyday tools for living a life of strength and dignity. The first instrument is wisdom. This is your nautical chart and your ability to read it. It is the practical knowledge of what is truly important for your voyage and what is a distraction. On your new mission, wisdom is the ability to learn from your failures without being discouraged. It is the ability to accept criticism without taking it personally. It is the ability to distinguish between the essential tasks that move your purpose forward and the trivial urgencies that try to pull you off course. Wisdom is the clear-eyed judgment that allows you to say, this difficult task is necessary, and this tempting distraction is not. It is the helmsman of your daily choices. The second instrument is courage. This is your willingness to sail into rough waters. As you pursue your new purpose, you will be a beginner again. And being a beginner is frightening. It requires the courage to look foolish, to ask questions, to make mistakes, and to fail. When you hit a plateau in your skill, or when your initial burst of motivation fades, it takes courage to show up anyway. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the judgment that your mission is more important than your fear. It is the voice that says, the sea is rough today, but I will raise the sails regardless. The third instrument is justice. This is your moral compass. It governs how you interact with other ships on the sea. In the pursuit of your own purpose, justice ensures you act with integrity. It means you don't cut corners. It means you give credit where it is due. It means you build something of genuine value, not just for your own glory, but something that in some small way contributes to the wider world. In the context of your past, It is the virtue that keeps you from becoming bitter. It allows you to sail your own course with honor without needing to fire cannons at the ships of those who are no longer on your journey. Justice is the commitment to being a good man, even when others have not been good to you. The fourth and final instrument is temperance or discipline. This is the skill of managing your ship's resources, your time, your energy, your focus. It is the steady hand that executes the commands of wisdom and courage. Temperance is the discipline to wake up early, to work on your craft. It is the self-control to turn off your phone and eliminate distractions. It is what allows you to do the hard, often tedious work day after day, week after week, that is required for any great undertaking. Without temperance, even the best map and the bravest captain are useless, for the ship will simply drift with the currents of mood and impulse. Consider the story of George Washington not as a president, but as a general during the American Revolution, specifically during the harrowing winter at Valley Forge. Here was a man with a clear purpose, a telos, the creation of a new independent nation. But he and his army were on the brink of utter collapse. They were besieged by starvation, disease, and a brutal winter. His mission was dying in the snow. What held it all together? It was not a single stroke of luck or a brilliant battlefield maneuver. It was the relentless application of virtue by a man who refused to break. He demonstrated the wisdom to know that his army's greatest enemy was not the British, but despair and disorganization. So he used the winter to train his men to bring in new discipline. He showed profound courage, remaining with his men, sharing their hardships, and projecting a calm resolve even when the cause seemed hopeless. He acted with justice, fighting tirelessly for supplies for his men, and treating them with a respect that inspired incredible loyalty. And he lived with immense temperance, enduring the same freezing conditions and meager rations as the common soldier, a model of disciplined leadership. It was Washington's arete, his excellence of character, that served as the ship and the captain that navigated the American Revolution through its darkest storm. Your mission is your own personal revolution. It is your declaration of independence from a past that no longer defines you. And you too will have your Valley Forge moments. There will be days when you feel isolated, when your progress feels non-existent, when doubt and difficulty feel like a killing frost. In those moments, you must remember that this is your training ground. When you choose to work on your purpose, even though you feel uninspired, you are practicing temperance. When you face a difficult problem and resist the urge to give up, you are practicing courage. When you learn from a mistake and adjust your course, you are practicing wisdom. You are building the character of a captain who can weather any storm. But the Stoic path offers one final, even more radical idea about navigating the sea of life. What if the storm itself was not something to be endured, but something to be harnessed? What if the very headwind that seems to be pushing you back could be used to propel you forward? This is the high art of the Stoic life, the art of transforming obstacles. And it is the next chart we must learn to read together. You are the captain of your ship, the arete of your character, serving as its sturdy frame. You have your map, the tools of your purpose, showing you the port you are sailing toward. You have mastered your navigational tools, the four virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. You are ready. But the Stoics, those great masters of the human spirit, offer us one more secret, one final piece of training for the captain. It is the secret that separates the good sailor from the great one. A good sailor can endure the storm. A great sailor learns not just to endure it, but to love it. He learns to use its very wind and waves to his advantage. This is the art of transforming adversity. It begins with a simple, powerful phrase, one that has echoed through the centuries, from the pen of Marcus Aurelius to the modern day, "The obstacle is the way." Think on that for a moment. It is a complete reversal of our natural instinct. Our instinct is to see an obstacle, a problem at work, a financial setback, a difficult person, a creative block, as an unfortunate impediment to our progress. We see it as something to be avoided, complained about, or quickly overcome, so we can get back to the real path. The Stoic realizes that the obstacle is the real path. The thing that is blocking your way is in fact a custom-designed curriculum for your own growth. The universe has not made a mistake by placing this rock in your path. The rock is your opportunity. This mindset culminates in the most radical and liberating concept in all of Stoic philosophy, amor fati. It is Latin for a love of one's fate. This is not a passive resignation to whatever happens. It is an active, joyful, and enthusiastic acceptance of every moment, every event, every outcome, good, bad, or indifferent, as if you had chosen it yourself. Why would anyone do this? Because if the obstacle is the way, then every event, no matter how difficult, is precisely the raw material you need to practice your virtue and forge your character. It is not something happening to you. It is something happening for you. Let us bring this back to the pursuit of your new purpose. You decide to master a new skill, and you find that you are clumsy and slow to learn. The old mindset says, "This is frustrating. I'm no good at this. Maybe I should quit." The Amor Fati mindset says, "Excellent. Here is a perfect opportunity to practice the virtue of patience and the courage to persevere through the awkwardness of being a beginner." You face a financial challenge that threatens your project. The old mindset panics. The Amor Fati mindset says, "A fascinating problem. This is a chance to practice the wisdom of creative problem solving and the temperance to manage my resources carefully." You see how this changes everything? Life is no longer a series of fortunate or unfortunate events. It is a continuous opportunity for excellence. Consider the great inventor, Thomas Edison. In December of 1914, a massive fire erupted in his sprawling laboratory complex in West Orange, New Jersey. The fire was devastating, fueled by the flammable chemicals used in early film and phonograph production. Within hours, more than half of his life's work, a complex of buildings containing priceless research, unique prototypes, and irreplaceable records, was turning to ash. His son found him standing nearby, calmly watching the spectacle. Edison, who was 67 years old at the time, turned to him and said, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." When his son, bewildered, mentioned that everything was being destroyed, Edison's response was pure practical Amor Fati. He said, "It's all right. We've just got a lot of rubbish cleaned out." This man was watching his life's work burn to the ground, an obstacle of catastrophic proportions. But he did not see it as a tragedy. He saw it as an opportunity, a chance to start anew, free from the old mistakes and accumulated clutter. He didn't just endure the disaster, he found the great value in it. He loved his fate, even this seemingly cruel twist of it. Your old life, the one you shared with her, has burned down. The plans you made, the memories you cherished, the future you designed, it has been consumed. And you have a choice. You can stand in the smoldering ruins and mourn what you have lost for the rest of your life. Or you can, like Edison, survey the cleared ground and feel a strange sense of liberation. You can say to yourself, "A lot of rubbish has been cleaned out. The parts of me that were weak and dependent, the illusions I held, the path that was perhaps not my own, it has all been burned away. Thank God I can start anew." You can begin practicing this today, not with a life-altering disaster, but with the small frustrations of your day. The internet is slow, a perfect low-stakes opportunity to practice patience. A colleague is difficult, an excellent chance to practice justice and emotional regulation. You make a mistake, a wonderful gift, an opportunity to practice humility and the wisdom to learn. When you start to see every minor annoyance not as a disruption to your peace, but as a deliberate training session for your peace, your entire experience of life will change. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are a student in the grand dojo of the cosmos. You are now armed with the purpose, the character, and the mindset to face any challenge that life throws at you in the pursuit of your mission. You have learned to turn the generic storms of life into your allies. But there is one final test of your training, the most specific and emotionally charged test of all. What happens when the past returns? When the storm is not a random squall, but the very hurricane that first set you on this journey. What happens when she reaches out? How do you apply this love of fate to the very event that once caused you so much pain? Facing this specific ghost with grace, not as a threat, but as just another welcome obstacle on your path, is the next great step in our journey. You are now armed. You have a purpose that guides you, virtues that serve as your compass, and a mindset that transforms every obstacle into fuel for your journey. You have learned to love your fate, to see every storm as an opportunity to become a better sailor. But life, in its infinite wisdom, saves the most difficult test for when you are most prepared. The final exam in the school of your recovery is not a random squall. It is a highly specific, emotionally charged, and deeply personal challenge. It is the moment the past reappears on the horizon. It will happen. In one form or another, she will return. Not necessarily in person, not necessarily with words of regret, but her presence will enter your world again. It may be a text message that lights up your phone in the dead of night. It may be a like on a photo you posted months ago. It may be a chance encounter at a grocery store that makes your heart stop for a beat. This is the siren's song. It is the beautiful, enchanting, and lethally dangerous melody of the past, calling to you from the rocks, promising a return to what was familiar, tempting you to crash your new well-built ship in a moment of weakness. The old you would have been drawn to it irresistibly. The song promises everything your wounded ego craves: a second chance, a validation of your worth, the possibility of her regret. But you are not the old you. You are a student of Stoic philosophy. And you will face this test, not with raw willpower, but with wisdom and strategy. First, you must understand the nature of the song. Why is she singing it now? A man driven by emotion believes she reaches out because she has finally realized his true worth. A man guided by wisdom understands the motivation is almost always more complicated and self-serving. She may be lonely. Her new carnival ride may have proven to be as shallow and unsatisfying as we predicted. She may be testing her own power, needing the validation of knowing she can still get a reaction from you. She may simply be curious about the new man you have become. Notice that all of these reasons are about her needs, her feelings, her ego. To see her outreach as anything else is to fall for the first most dangerous note of the song. The great hero of Greek mythology, Odysseus, had to sail past the island of the Sirens. He knew their song was so beautiful, it would drive any man to his own destruction. So what did he do? He didn't try to just tough it out. He used strategy. He had his sailors plug their ears with beeswax so they could not hear the song at all. This is your silence. For many of you, this is the most effective strategy. The text message that arrives, you simply do not respond. You do not give the song a chance to enter your mind. You let it fade into the distance unanswered. This is not rude. It is the act of a captain protecting his crew and his ship from a known danger. But Odysseus, being a man of immense curiosity and courage, wanted to hear the song for himself, to know its power without succumbing to it. So he had his men do something else. They tied him securely to the mast of the ship. He ordered them not to untie him, no matter how much he begged or pleaded. The mast is your purpose. It is your telos. It is the strong, unbending center of your new life that you must lash yourself to when temptation calls. When you see her across the room, you feel the pull. The song of memory and what if begins to play. In that moment, you must mentally tie yourself to the mast. You remember your purpose. You remember the forge. You remember the virtues you have been building. You acknowledge the song, ah, there it is, the feeling of the past. But you do not change your course. You might offer a polite, brief nod of acknowledgement, the kind you would give a stranger, and then you immediately return your focus to your own path, your own conversations, your own life. You are hearing the song, but you are not sailing toward it. The most dangerous version of the song is the direct invitation, the text that says, "Can we talk?" This is the sirens promising to tell you the secrets of the universe if you would only come a little closer. Your mind will scream that this is your chance for closure. But you, the wise captain, remember the lesson. Closure is a decision you make, not a conversation you have. To agree to meet is to untie yourself from the mast and dive headfirst into the rocks. Your response, therefore, must be one of polite, firm, and final boundary setting. It is an act of justice to yourself and your own peace. A simple, "I appreciate you reaching out, but I've moved on and am focused on my own path now. I wish you all the best." There is no anger in this response. There is no bitterness. There is only the calm, unshakable resolve of a man who knows his destination and will not be diverted. It is the kindest and most honest response you can give, for it closes the door cleanly without ambiguity and allows both of you to continue on your separate journeys. This test is not about her. It is about you. Passing the test does not mean you won the interaction. It means you remain true to your training. It means your inner peace was not disturbed. It means you honored your new self over the ghost of your old one. You looked upon the greatest obstacle of all, the source of your original pain, and you applied amor fati. You loved your fate enough to not be pulled back into a past that no longer serves you. You saw the Siren's Island not as a threat, but as a final beautiful opportunity to prove the strength of your ship and the skill of its captain. Once you have sailed past this island, once the song has faded for the last time, you enter new waters. These are the waters of true freedom, the waters of a man who is no longer haunted. And it is here in this profound and earned tranquility that you are finally able to grasp the ultimate truth of your entire journey. You have sailed past the island of the sirens. The enchanting, haunting song of your past has faded behind you, and the only sound that remains is the steady rhythm of your own breathing and the gentle lapping of calm waters against the hull of your ship. In this newfound quiet, a space of profound tranquility opens up within you. The constant low-grade ache of anxiety, the restless need for answers, the gnawing feeling of inadequacy, all of it has dissolved. You are floating in the calm, clear sea of the present moment. And it is here in this earned stillness that the final great truth of your journey reveals itself. It arrives not with a thunderclap, but with the quiet, undeniable force of a sunrise. It is the realization that this entire odyssey was never about her. It was never about proving your worth, getting revenge, or winning her back. The ultimate truth is this: you were always the prize. For so long, you operated under a painful illusion. You believed your value was a reflection in her eyes. When her eyes turned away, you thought your value had vanished. You believed the prize was her love, and when she gave it to another, you believed you had lost the grand competition of life. This is the fundamental error the Stoics warned us about, the mistake of placing our center of gravity outside of ourselves. This journey, this painful and necessary trial by fire, was not about creating your worth. It was about stripping away everything that was hiding the worth that was already there. The betrayal was not an indictment of your value. It was the catalyst that forced you to finally discover it for yourself. She didn't abandon you, she inadvertently sent you on the most important quest of your life, the quest to find your own internal kingdom. Think of yourself as a king who has lived his entire life within the comfortable but confining walls of a small castle, the castle of the relationship. He believed the castle was his kingdom. When he was exiled from it, cast out into the wilderness of heartbreak, he believed he was nothing, a king with no kingdom. But in the wilderness, he was forced to learn. He learned to hunt and forage. This was you discovering your own purpose. He learned to build a shelter from the elements. This was you forging your body and character. He learned to navigate by the stars, not by the castle walls. This was you learning to live by the virtues. Over time, he did not just survive in the wilderness, he thrived. He became stronger, wiser, and more capable than he ever was as a sheltered king. He realized the wilderness was not a barren wasteland, but a world of boundless potential. He built a new kingdom, not of stone, but of skill, resilience, and wisdom. This new kingdom was not in a single place. It was within him. It was a kingdom he could carry with him wherever he went. One day, a messenger from the old castle finds him and tells him he is welcome to return. The old king, the broken man, would have wept with joy and rushed back. But the new man, the true sovereign, simply smiles. He has no desire to return to the small, confining walls of his past. Why would he, when he has discovered that he himself is the entire kingdom? This is the man you have now become. And from this new perspective, the old world looks entirely different. The idea of revenge now seems absurd. Why would a king concern himself with the affairs of a commoner who once slighted him? Her life, her choices, her happiness, or misery, it all becomes irrelevant. It is the weather in a foreign land. You wish her no ill will, but you do not waste a single moment of your precious attention observing her forecast. Your focus is on cultivating your own kingdom. The thought of getting her back is now seen for the impossibility it is. You have evolved. The man she left is a ghost. The man you are today would not fit into the small world she chose. You have outgrown the very person you once thought you couldn't live without. This is not an arrogant thought. It is a simple statement of fact, observed with the calm detachment of wisdom. This is the ultimate victory. The real win is not that she might one day regret her choice. The real win is that you have reached a state where her regret is meaningless to you. Your peace is no longer contingent on her state of mind. Your value is no longer up for her debate. You have become your own source of validation, your own measure of worth. You have achieved what the Stoics called apatheia, not a state of apathy, or not caring, but a state of tranquility and freedom from disturbing passions. You are free. This freedom changes everything. It changes how you walk, how you speak, how you interact with the world. There is a quiet confidence that radiates from a man who needs nothing from anyone. He is not needy, but he is not cold. He is self-sufficient, and therefore he can engage with the world from a place of genuine strength and generosity, not from a place of lack. You have arrived at the summit, the great plateau of self-possession. But life is not a static destination. It is a continuous flowing river. The final part of our journey is not about arriving, but about living. How do you make this profound peace the new foundation of every moment? How do you learn to be a good and wise king, not just in the quiet of your own mind, but in your interactions with the world, and perhaps one day in a new relationship, built not on need, but on the shared strength of two complete kingdoms? This is the final art we must learn. You have arrived at the summit of your own inner world. You have discovered that you are the sovereign ruler of a kingdom that can never be conquered, the kingdom of your own mind. But a king does not simply sit on his throne and admire his own strength. A good king uses his strength, his stability, and his resources to enrich the world around him. The journey so far has been an internal one, a journey of healing, building, and fortifying. The final stage of our journey together is about turning that internal strength outward. It is about learning how to live as a good king, not just to yourself, but to the world. This is the shift from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance. When your world revolved around her, you were living in a state of scarcity even if you didn't realize it. You needed her approval to feel worthy. You needed her presence to feel secure. You needed her love to feel whole. You were in essence emotionally poor, constantly looking to an external source for the wealth you lacked within. When that source was cut off, you were left bankrupt. But through this journey, you have done the hard work of digging your own well. You have gone deep into yourself and found your own inexhaustible spring of purpose, virtue, and self-respect. You are no longer a dry patch of ground hoping for rain. You are the well itself, full to the brim from your own internal source. And a man who is full does not interact with the world by asking, "What can I get?" He begins to ask, "What can I give?" This changes everything. Your relationships with your friends and family will deepen. Before you may have been a passive participant, half listening, your mind often preoccupied with the anxieties of your relationship. Now you can be truly present. You can listen with your full attention, not because you're waiting for your turn to speak, but because you have the inner quiet to truly hear another person. You become a source of stability, a calm presence in the lives of those you care about. You become the friend that others turn to for sober advice, not because you have all the answers, but because you have a peaceful center that they can feel. Your relationship with your work and your purpose transforms. The frantic, needy energy of trying to prove yourself is replaced by the calm, focused intensity of a master craftsman. You find joy in the process itself, in the pursuit of excellence for its own sake. You can collaborate with others more effectively, because your ego is no longer on the trial with every decision. You can lead with a quiet authority that comes not from a title, but from a deep sense of inner alignment. And inevitably, the question of a new romantic relationship will arise. Perhaps not today, perhaps not tomorrow, but one day you may choose to open your heart again. And if you do, it will be on entirely new terms. This is perhaps the greatest gift that your ordeal has given you. The man who enters a new relationship from a place of abundance is playing an entirely different game. You will not be looking for a woman to complete you because you are already whole. You will not be looking for a savior to rescue you from loneliness because you have learned to be your own best company in the sanctuary of silence. You will be looking for a partner, a true equal, another sovereign ruler of her own kingdom, with whom you can form an alliance to share a journey. Your love will be a gift, not a transaction. You will give of your time, your affection, and your support freely because you are giving from the overflow of your own well, not draining your last reserves. This is the difference between a love born of neediness and a love born of strength. And you will not be afraid. This is the most crucial part. You have already faced the fire. You have walked through the ruins of a lost love and built a new world from the ashes. You know with an unshakable certainty that can only be earned through experience that you can survive it. This knowledge eradicates the desperate clutching fear of loss that poisons so many relationships. You will be able to love more bravely, more openly, more honestly, because your ultimate survival and well-being are no longer held hostage by another person's choices. You can enjoy the beauty of the connection without being terrified of its potential end. This is the ultimate revenge, though it has long since ceased to be about revenge at all. The most attractive and powerful state for a man is not wealth or status or looks. It is a state of profound self-sufficiency. It is the quiet energy of a man who is at peace with himself, who has a mission that excites him, and who engages with the world from a place of generosity and strength. He is the deep well in a thirsty land. He does not need to advertise. Those who are seeking something real are naturally drawn to him. You have become the well. You have done the hard work of digging, of clearing out the debris, of finding the inner spring, the final wisdom. The final art is not just to be the well, but to understand how to tend to it for a lifetime, ensuring it never runs dry so that you always have enough for yourself and an abundance to share with the world. This is the task of the good king, the work of a lifetime. And learning how to maintain this inner kingdom day after day is the final part of our journey together. And so, we arrive at the end of our journey together, but at the true beginning of yours. You have walked through the fire and learned the alchemy of turning pain into power. You have discovered the unshakable kingdom within and have taken your rightful place upon its throne. You are the king. But the work of a good king, like the work of a good gardener, is never truly finished. It is instead a practice of a lifetime. The goal was never to arrive at a destination where all work ceases. The goal was to build a life of such meaning and integrity that the work itself becomes a source of joy. The final wisdom is to understand that philosophy is not a cure you take once, but a way you choose to live every day. Think of your mind and your soul as a garden. When this journey began, your garden was a scene of devastation. It was abandoned, overgrown with the thorny weeds of grief, resentment, and self-doubt. The soil was hard and dry. But look at what you have done. With silence, you put up a fence around your garden, protecting it from the chaos of the outside world and giving it the peace it needed to heal. With physical discipline, you took a spade to the hard soil, breaking it up, aerating it, and enriching it with the sweat of your effort, making it fertile once more. With purpose, you planted the first precious seeds of something new, something that was entirely yours, something that could grow towards the sun with its own strength. With virtue, you learned the craft of gardening, the wisdom to know when to water and when to let, be the courage to face the threat of pests, and blight the justice to respect the ecosystem of your life, and the temperance to show up day after day. With the mindset that the obstacle is the way, you learn to see the harsh sun, not as a threat but as a source of energy, and the strong winds not as a danger, but as a force that strengthens the roots. You have learned to hear the siren song of the past for what it is, a distant, meaningless echo. And you have realized that the ultimate prize, the most beautiful flower in the garden, was your own unburdened soul. You have done the hard work of creating this beautiful, thriving space. The lifelong practice, the art of living from this point forward, is simply to be the gardener. Your life now takes on a simple, beautiful rhythm. In the morning, you walk into your garden as Marcus Aurelius walked into his day. You prepare the soil. You acknowledge that there may be pests today, that the weather may be unpredictable. You remind yourself of what you can and cannot control. You set the intention to be a wise and patient gardener for the day ahead. Throughout the day, you tend to the plants. You give your attention and energy to your purpose. You practice your virtues in your interactions with others. When a new weed of a negative thought or a painful memory sprouts, you don't panic or despair. You see it for what it is, and with the calm, practiced hand of a seasoned gardener, you gently pull it out before it can take root. In the evening, you conduct a quiet review as Seneca recommended. You walk through your garden and survey your work. You ask, where did my garden thrive today? What new growth is there? Is there a weed I missed? What can I do better tomorrow? This is not an act of harsh self-judgment, but one of loving, conscious cultivation. And what of the one who started all of this? The person who betrayed you, who you thought had destroyed you. As you continue to tend your garden, you will find that the memory of them no longer carries a sting. The thought of them no longer casts a shadow over your sun. In time, you may even come to see them not with anger or indifference, but with a strange and quiet gratitude. You will realize they were not your enemy. They were your greatest, albeit most painful teacher. They were the harsh, brutal winter that was absolutely necessary for the magnificent spring you now inhabit. The fire they started didn't destroy your world. It simply cleared the old dead wood and made way for new life. The heartbreak was the price of admission for the wisdom you now hold. The suffering was the tuition for the education of your soul. And you have graduated with the highest honors. You have learned the greatest lesson of all, that nothing and no one outside of you can ever truly touch the serene, powerful, and beautiful kingdom within. This is your life now, a life of purpose, a life of virtue, a life of peace. Walk on, good man. Your garden awaits, and it is a beautiful day to tend to it. If this journey has resonated with you, subscribe and join a community of men who are building their inner kingdoms. Your practice starts today.